To set up a Proctorio quiz, you first need to ensure that Secure Exam Proctor is set up in your course and that you have Proctorio installed in your browser. So you can click on Secure Exam Proctor and it will say that it's successfully installed. Once that is the case, you can go down to Quizzes, plus Quiz, and you must use a classic quiz. Using a new quizzes doesn't work currently with Proctorio, although that is something that hopefully will be fixed very soon. Go ahead and hit submit, and then you create the quiz that you would like. When you're setting up Proctorio in your course, and you're going to use it for quizzes, exams, etc., it's often a good idea to create a practice quiz, so that's what I'm going to do here. Proctorio practice quiz. For the instructions for the practice quiz, what you can do is you can go to this website, training.ivc.edu/canvas-overview/Proctorio overview. Scroll down and you can get the text of what you can copy and paste in for instructions for the particular, when the student's taking a quiz in Canvas. So copy those and paste them in here. It's practice quiz. Go to Chrome on the computer. No other browser will work. We now can use Edge. Go to ivc.edu, click on Canvas at the top, log into Canvas, etc. So you've got the instructions here that they can do. Notice it says here, if there's any issues, please contact Proctorio support by clicking on the shield in the upper right hand corner of Chrome or calling them at this number. The students cannot call you. There's nothing you can do about fixing Proctorio issues, quiz issues in general in Canvas. They can also call IVC tech support. There are some things we can do, but not very many. So it's nice to give them that information up front. The quiz type needs to be a graded quiz. You cannot use a survey of any kind. Where you place that in the quizzes, often it can go under exams or something like that. I like to shuffle answers. You are required to, when using Proctorio, you're required to have a time limit. I'm going to make it 10 minutes for this particular one because I'm going to have 2 questions. I'm going to allow multiple attempts, especially in a Proctorio practice exam. It's a really good idea to allow them to do it multiple times, make sure that they've got everything working. If they decide to use a different computer for the exam than they've been practicing on, that can make a difference. So this is just a good way to get students to make sure that everything's going to work correctly before they start taking the exam. Correct, incorrect responses don't matter. The show one question at a time, when you mark it, when you click on enable Proctorio, it's going to give a message, which I'll show you in a moment. The next part, require an access code. Do not check that. Proctorio is going to select that. And then filter IP addresses, we've never really been able to find a good use for here at Irvine Valley College. So selecting enable Proctorio Secure Exam Proctor, you see it came up with a message. Proctorio does not recommend showing one question at a time. So that doesn't mean you cannot do it. In fact, Proctorio can be very effective doing that. However, it is something that slows down some of the processes. So it's completely up to you whether you want to show one question at a time or not. There are a lot of people who do both. Some do, some don't. It's up to you. As you go down, Secure Exam Proctor, the settings will be controlled from Proctorio settings, which we'll look at that in a little bit. And then you set the assignment, due date, etc. I like to have the assignment, this quiz due just before the students are able to take their exam that's going to use Proctorio. Now, I'm setting a due date, but I'm not setting the until date. And the reason for not setting the until date is because the until date, I'd like them to take it, if I'm going to give an exam using Proctorio 3 times during the semester, I would like them to do the practice exam once before each of the exams at least. That way they can practice. They can make sure that everything is working on their computer, that they're not going to have a problem. We find that when students go through this, almost never do they have a problem with Proctorio and how that works. If they don't go through that, there's a chance that they will have a problem. So it's nice to allow them that opportunity and set the due date accordingly. That said, now let's go ahead and create a couple of questions. So new questions. I'm going to just do some multiple choice questions. And in fact, I'm even going to get rid of this last option. So it's just these 3. Now, number of points, you can do 0, you can do 0.1, you can do 1. It doesn't really matter. Depends on what you want to give. There is no such thing as extra credit. So not when it comes to quizzes. So if you don't do 0, this will affect their grade at least a little bit. So maybe do a 0.1 so it affects their grade 0.2 of a point. And especially if you select the highest, then it's even better that way. So it gives them the opportunity to look at it. So the next tab is Proctorio settings. So under Proctorio settings, there's a number of different options. This is what it comes up with by default, unless you have already saved settings in another location. So since I haven't saved settings, it's going to come up and ask for record video, and then I can turn on whatever else I want, including turning that off. So when you are recording at all, when you're using Proctorio, this is the main thing that you want to have, is recording screen and recording web traffic. Whether you turn on anything else or not, it doesn't make much sense to use Proctorio and not use recording of the screen and recording of the web traffic. The options, though, that come up are recording audio. So if somebody's talking, you would get that. And recording video, that would use the camera that would be on their cell phone, their computer, whatever they're using to take that test. The recording desk is one that we do not recommend, and that has had a lot of different problems. So we recommend never using record desk. This is the one that used to be called room scan, and it literally is where they pick up their computer and they wave it around so that you can see everything in their room. That is considered something that does violate privacy a lot. So the recommendation is to never use that particular option. Lockdown options. So here we want to choose what we want to lock down, keep things from happening. Above it is what's going to be recorded. This is where we keep things from going wrong. So the options for force full screen, severe means if they zoom in, if they do anything, it immediately kicks them out of Proctorio. So it often is better to do a moderate or even lenient on that to give them just a little bit of movement. So I like lenient. If, however, you're doing a exam that maybe is using Excel or using another software package, you can still use Proctorio. Proctorio works beautifully for that. The problem is that you want to then possibly do full screen off so that it does not kick out if they're not looking at the quiz for a particular amount of time. So the next one, only one screen. It's a good idea to have it record only one screen. It means that somebody like me who's got 3 screens on their computer, it doesn't try to record everything that's on all 3 screens. It will black out the other 2 screens and only show one screen, and that's the screen that has the quiz or exam on it. No new tabs means that they cannot go in and click on the plus at the top and open any new tabs. Close open tabs means that if they were in their Gmail account and have copies of their of a question or something in there, they can't do anything with it. It's actually going to close that off before the exam starts. Disable printing. If you turn that on, it means that they cannot print your exam. They can't just click on print and have something come out so that they can hand it to their friend. So you want to usually disable printing. Disable clipboard means they can't right-click, copy, paste. If they have the answer to a question already copied into their the clipboard, then it wipes that out before they go into the exam, so they cannot use that copy of text or something that they've selected from maybe their Google or something like that, their Gmail account. Block downloads means they can't right-click on images and download them. Clear cache. At the end of the exam, it will clear the cache so that the browser no longer has any of your questions in it from your exam. Disable right-click. In Windows, right-click always gives you a menu, so this disables it so that you can't get any of those, including copy, paste, etc. When they try to do it, it literally just comes up and says that right-click is disabled. Prevent re-entry. This gives you the opportunity to allow your students back into the exam based on certain criteria. So you can just automatically allow them back in. So why would they have left it in the first place? Their Wi-Fi drops. Their laptop loses power. They have a power outage in the middle of their exam. There's a number of different things that can happen that are legit, and there's nothing they can do about it ahead of time to really make sure that it doesn't happen. So allowing them back in, Proctorio will notify you that it was the second part. It doesn't submit the exam until the time has elapsed that was specified in the time that they're allowed. But this just gives them the ability to get back into the exam either automatically with an agent. That means they have to contact Proctorio through the browser, and when they do that, the Proctorio agent allows them back in. Again, it lets you know that that occurred. Or no re-entry. No, you're not allowed back in, and they have to wait until the amount of time you've given them for the exam elapses before you can even allow them to take a second attempt. These first two allow them to continue their attempt. Still, they lose whatever time they were off, but they're still able to get back in and keep on going with their attempt. This one, they will not be able to continue their attempt. They have to start over if you allow them to. That's where the multiple attempts comes in. So a lot of times re-entry with agent or automatically allow re-entry is what a lot of people do. It's completely up to you which one you want to do. Calculator allows you to choose different types of calculator. No calculator, a basic calculator, or a scientific calculator. And a whiteboard allows you to choose whether or not they will have something where they can take notes. So understand that a lot of times in Proctorio, you're taking the quiz, you don't want them writing on paper because that looks like they're cheating. So instead, this allows them someplace where they can write information, take notes, stuff like that in the middle of their exam. So it is working just fine there. When you're done, it's a good idea to create new profile and then create what you want it to be called. And notice it says default profile here. So if I hit save, now this will save this profile so that the next time I go in and create a Proctorio exam, it should come up with Proctorio default and come up with exactly these defaults that I have saved. So I'm going to go ahead and save it. This quiz, Proctorio practice quiz, I did not put remotely proctored behind the name. It automatically does that when you use Proctorio. That way it ensures that students know that this is remotely proctored with Proctorio. So even if you put parentheses remotely proctored, then it would say parentheses remotely proctored behind it. Once you publish, notice there's nothing here on the left. Once you publish, it now comes up and you have the moderate this quiz speed grader, which you have when you publish a quiz, and then you have the view Proctorio gradebook. Now there's nothing in the view Proctorio gradebook until somebody submits, but once they do, I can click on view Proctorio gradebook and get in and see what students have submitted and watch their particular submission. This is how you use Proctorio and set up a Proctorio quiz.